Hi, my name is Christian Posta. I'm the Global Field CTO at Solo.io. In this demo, we're going to take a look at an end-to-end flow of AgentAuth, or AAuth, which is a specification written by Dick Hart, who also authored OAuth 2.0 and 2.1, and goes into some of the agent-specific identity and access management flows. So I highly recommend you come take a look at the spec, look at AAuth.dev, and try it out. Take a look at the Protocol Explorer, which walks in detail the steps and the flows for how the AAuth protocol works. We are going to take a look at the full demo here. So this is part of a series of content that I've built that shows how to bootstrap agent identity, how to involve a person for authorization, and follows the AAuth spec. So we're going to start our demo with bringing up the agent. So we'll come here and do npm start and bring up the UI. And once that's running, we should see, we'll give it a second. All right. We should see it come up. Great. And we can come over here and take a look at the UI. If I refresh it, I can get to the UI. Now the UI makes a call to the backend service. So if we come over here and start the backend service, we're going to see that when it comes online, it is going to go, it has been configured to go to an agent provider that is able to issue it an agent token. So this agent token is its identity token. Now in the AAuth protocol, there is a concept called a person server. And the person server represents a person or a logical or legal person to the agent and to the rest of the protocol. And in this particular demo, what we're going to see is the person server is responsible. So me, the person that an agent might do work on behalf of, can approve or deny a new agent representing me. So in this case, I will approve it, and it becomes one of the active agents. And we can see all of this is cryptographically tied to the keys that the agent holds. And actually, if we come see that the agent finally came online and has been issued the agent token. Again, some of this detail, go take a look at the spec. Now we want to be able to call into a supply chain agent. So we're going to do the same thing here. And the supply chain agent might call into a market analysis agent. So we'll do the same thing here. Both of these are going to sit here and wait until I approve that they are allowed to act on my behalf. So we'll approve this, we'll approve this. So now we have these three active services or agents running. They each have their own identity token, and they have their own signing keys that are associated with that token. You can see these are not bearer tokens. They are assigned to specific holders or specific identities of these keys. So now when we come over here and we take a look at calling into the supply chain agent, if I click on this, we should see the flow will complete. And if we take a closer look, we have Agentgateway running here. And the call went through Agentgateway. We can see that it passed as part of the AAuth headers and signature, part of the protocol message signing. We can, I think, try to copy this, take a look at the token here. All right, there we go. And we can see that in the request, we did send the agent identity token, and we signed the message. And then what Agentgateway does is it checks with an AAuth module that I've implemented here to handle all of the AAuth stuff. So if we take a look here in the AAuth module, we see that an agent identity has been identified and allowed, and now the Agentgateway will pass the request on to the supply chain agent, which we see here got a request and responded to it. Now, what if we want to require certain scopes for this call? All right, so the supply chain agent, when it gets called, it needs to require that the client have some sort of auth token. So it needs to go through some kind of auth flow. So to do that, what we're going to do here is we're going to send this through a, I think it's called like that. Yep. We'll send this through a different configuration. I'm just changing the config names here. Right, so now when I make this call, we'll refresh it and I'll make this call. What we're going to see is the flow is actually going to go through, if we look at the Protocol Explorer, is going to go through this flow here, where the agent will call the resource, supply chain agent, and supply chain agent will say, hey, you didn't call me with a valid auth token. So I'm going to send back a 401, and in that response, I'm going to send a resource token. So this resource token is basically a binding of this specific agent's call that the agent can then take to a person server or access server and say, hey, I'm trying to call this resource. It requires these scopes. So can you approve that? And the person server or the access server might automatically approve it and get an auth token. And then the agent can call into the resource with that auth token. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So I'll come back here and I'll click on this. We want to call into the supply chain agent again. If we look at our person server and look at our issued tokens, we can see the person server just issued an auth token to my backend agent. But let's take a look at the flow a little bit closer. All right, so in the backend, what we can see is that when we called the supply chain agent, we signed it, sent in the agent identity token, but we got a 401. So the Agentgateway, who's handling resources in this particular demo, the Agentgateway actually says, whoa, you don't have the auth token that we're expecting to be able to call supply chain agent. So issue a 401 and respond with a resource token. So now this resource token cryptographically binds the agent to specific scopes that are required to call this specific resource. And what will happen now is the agent will try to call the person server to exchange this resource token for an actual auth token. So once that happens, and we see that it responds back with an auth token, we can go ahead and call the resource again. Now, so if I take a look at this token that gets sent, originally we saw this was an agent token, and now if I put this token here, we see that this is now an auth token. All right. So when we're sending in this auth token, we can see that it has been approved with some specific scopes. It is for a specific agent that is bound to that agent's signing keys. So these are not bearer tokens. If they get stolen somehow, they cannot be replayed unless you have the corresponding private key. And so now in the auth flow that we saw here, we saw an approved or a consented set of scopes that that the agent could ask for and automatically get approved for. But if we want the user to be in the loop here, and when we request the auth token, we can prompt the user to consent to this or to approve this. All right, so let's go change the config one last time here. I think this is user. What's going on here? Let's try that. Okay. All right, so now when we call into the supply chain agent again, now what we'll see is this request is asking for additional scopes and will need to involve the user. And so when we go to the person server to request authorization, the person server will say, all right, I need to go reach out to the user first. Now, I happen to be sitting here with the browser, but this can happen asynchronously as well, and notify me somehow on my phone or however asynchronously to approve this request. So I'll approve it here, and then we'll see the request goes through. And it's the same mechanism as we saw before. We go to the person server to request the token, but this time we interact with the user. Now, the last thing that I'll point out is that with Agentgateway, I'll come over here. Actually, I'll come to the config here. If we take a look at the configuration for Agentgateway, right, so this exposes our agents through the gateway and enforces the AAuth protocol. But Agentgateway can also do policy enforcement and checks. So we can take a look at the claims from the token, as well as any of the agent identity properties, and then decide in the gateway whether or not we want to allow or disallow these calls. And by using Agentgateway, we don't have to have the backend resource implement AAuth. We can automatically do it with the gateway here. So I highly recommend you take a look at the this new AAuth protocol. Take a look at Agentgateway as a way to integrate with the AAuth protocol without making changes to your APIs or to your resources. And like I said, my name is Christian Post. To reach out if you have any questions. You can come in here to the community. There's an AAuth Slack, and then there's also an AAuth channel in the IETF. Join the office hours every week, and bring your questions, bring your suggestions, bring your observations. I'd love to hear feedback. Thank you.